This is Desiree Dubonnet. Just wanted to tell you, you see, we're not as young as we used to be. In fact, now we're more Jungian than ever. Carl Jung gave us a gift of understanding of the basic archetypal images inside humans. In 5th grade, we're taught that the body's made of atoms with electrons in the outer energy shells. And how many electrons? Vast quantity, almost unimaginable number of electrons just in one human body. And that the electron is not a fundamental particle. So we were able to prove that the universe is infinity to the power of infinity. And when we get inside these atoms, electrons never touch, they repel. No atom touches any other. And the electrons and the particles are so incredibly tiny, and E equals mc squared, so their energy as well. And the atom is such an incredible amount of empty space. It's energy, but it's empty space. If you remove the empty space from the atoms of all the people in the world, the entire human race would fit into a sugar cube. And what we do know that does touch is photons, light particles, because the light touches the electrons through emission and absorption. So thereby we are all of light. We are photonic energy beings. And because of this, we need to recognize the vast quantity. And we now proved through quantum entwinement that we are all connected. And that there's good and bad energy, hot and cold, and all this different type of diversity that comes out of the world. This incredible diversity of what we are as human beings. And as we interact with each other. And basically, there's different energies that form. Different type of archetypal energies. Ideas of who and what we are that have been made over the years. And some of these choices of who we become come to us from the nature of our own genetic and epigenetic structure. And some of these choices come from nurture, come from the forces of the environment around us that mold and shape us into who and what we are. But there's incredible diversity in the energy of the human being. And we're going to be studying about the archetypal energies and how it is wrong for people to try to impress their views on another. And that truly the greatest problem that could ever come out is extremism. We should never try to be extremist. We should try to embrace the diversity and the choice of the other people around us. Now we need to start talking about the born innate instincts that humans have. And basically there are some instincts that are very important, whether we care for others, things about right or wrong. These are very, very important. We need to understand the ideas and the extremities of these ideas. You see, human emotions and behavior will vary between extremes of belief and actions. We could basically see how humans can have polarities. And we could see these fluctuations of emotions and actions as if they were on a gauge. If we can imagine like a gauge, to the left, to the right, to extremes of one side or the other. You could have an extreme to one side, or there could be an extreme to the other side, completely different type of behavior. This is what we're going to be studying and trying to encourage people to be down the middle and to have little fluctuations and not to be extremists. One of the key ideas in our archetypes and our ideas of polarity is that between the liberal and the conservative, whether they respect or disrespect authority, whether they respect or disrespect the law.
Respect for authority. Some don't respect authority at all. This is the archetype of the extreme liberal. The extreme left, we say. And here on the other side, we have the complete, absolute blind respect, blindly obedient to authority. And here we have the archetype of the conservative. We have to add liberal and conservative to Jungian's archetypes because they are so right that fit into this. And the conservative is on the right side of the spectrum. Now you see that one person who is on the left and a person on the right, they can't agree on anything, no matter what they talk about, because one completely mistrusts all authority and the other blindly is obedient to authority. These two extreme positions will not be able to communicate, and people find their little spot on the spectrum of each one as they go up and down.
One of the best iconic displays, if you're old enough, is that of Meathead and Archie Bunker and their conflicts of liberal and conservative. It's really worth looking at. And the law was written to protect people, protect different interpretations of people. So we do need to respect the law.
The people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
But blind respect for the law, well, that's a little bit something else, because when the law doesn't really protect us, we need to maybe do something about it, like with the idea of what the man in Braveheart did, William Wallace. We need to understand that there is a time where the conservatives can produce too much law and perhaps maybe overreact, and that extremism can produce people that then have duty against the law.
These are the stories of our criminal justice system. The police that arrest the criminals, and the prosecutors and the attorneys that then stink it all up. Law and odor.
Law is not law if it violates the principles of eternal justice. There are people who respect the law, there are people who do not. And we need to really look at this very seriously.
Man has only the rights he can defend. Our most basic right is life. It's enshrined not only in our Constitution, but in the Charter of the United Nations. The prohibition against taking a life is found in our most ancient texts and in the statutes of every nation.
Victor Hugo in Les Miserables gives us a very gripping idea of law and how maybe too much respect can create a problem.
Why are you doing this?
Jean Valjean, my brother, you no longer belong to evil. With this silver, I bought your soul.
We must listen to the laws of God in our religion, and if we desire respect for the law, we must make the law respectable.
I've ransomed you from fear and hatred. And now I give you back to God.
God's law we hold in our hearts, but in our day-to-day lives we have to have social law. And the basic idea is, thou shalt not kill.
No matter the perpetrator, the victim, or the country where the murder is committed, it's the one moral law that recognizes no national, racial, or religious boundaries. It can tolerate no exceptions. There is one law. One law.
And yet the law, thou shalt not kill, does not apply to the evil ultra-rich. They do what they want, anytime they want, and kill who they wish.
And when that law is broken, it's the duty of every officer of any court to rise up in defense of that law and bring their full power and diligence to bear against the lawbreaker. Because man has only those rights he can defend. Only those rights.
But the rich people, evil ultra-rich, seem to be above the law in many places.
How was your journey?
You haven't looked at my orders.
Oh, I'm sure they're all right. Have you eaten? Or would you...
I'd like you to follow procedure.
Some people have excessive ideas of procedure and of the law. But basically, we also understand on the other side, hungry men have no respect for the law or the authority over their human life.
How many people have moved here in the last decade? Where did they come from? What's their background? Is our criminal population homegrown, or are they outsiders? Without information, we cannot know how to control the dangerous elements.
To the rich governments, control is what they're after. But a man's respect for law and order exists in precise relationship to the size of the paycheck. It shouldn't be that way.
Modern science tells us that people are by nature lawbreakers or law-abiders. A wolf can wear sheep's clothing, but he's still a wolf.
Evil cynics can really think that people can't change. Winston Churchill said, if you have 10,000 regulations, you destroy respect for the law. So we can't overdo it. It's all a balance and moderation.
Yeah, he's Jean Valjean.
Right and wrong in law really comes from the heart.
Monsieur le Président. May I address the court?
Yes. Yes, certainly, Monsieur le Maire.
We cannot expect people to respect the law until we teach respect for those that we have entrusted to enforce those laws.
I am the man you want. I am Jean Valjean. Hey, it's him!
Oh my God!
Monsieur le Maire, I know you to be a kind man.
A kind?
Yes.
A kind man?
If law doesn't come from the heart of each and every individual, it doesn't really exist.
You don't understand the importance of the law. I've given you an order. Obey it. Why didn't you kill me?
We should all be peaceful, courteous, obey the law, respect people, respect everyone. But also you have to defend yourself at certain times when somebody tries to abuse you.
I don't have the right to kill you.
But you hate me.
I don't hate you.
Some people think that hate is for the person who enforces the law. It is.
It's a pity the rules don't allow me to be merciful. I've tried to live my life without breaking a single rule.
But the evil ultra-rich put profit over people, and many times that means death.
The Founding Fathers affirmed life as an absolute right. If the laws protecting that right are to have any meaning, they must be given the broadest interpretation. The law against murder applies to all.
The evil ultra-rich are not above the law, and we need to recognize that certain people that get obsessed, get obsessive, get extremist, that this is not the answer. The law is meant to have a degree of flexibility and compassion for all people.
To respect the code.
What's the code?
Well, tribe loyalty is important, and respecting the basic code of your tribe, that is important.
Unit, core, God, country.
I beg your pardon?
Unit, core, God, country. Sir.
Rich kids go to college, poor kids go to war, and sometimes the respect for the law and order goes a little too far.
That's our code, sir.
It's your code.
We'll be back.
And lawyers who care for themselves don't really encourage too much respect. But then if we get back to our idea of the conservative, we have Archie Bunker, the conservative, nothing wrong with revenge, it's the best way to get even. And then his ideas on the Bible. He knows about Noah and the whale and how Samson took the jawbone from the grass and killed the whole army of the Philippines. And let's take a look at a little bit of Archie Bunker so we get a grip of more of the idea about conservative versus liberal.
I got your address from the hospital. Mr. Bunker saved my life this morning.
You're the one. Well, come on in. Oh, well, sit down.
This was a long time ago. Maybe some of you don't remember this, but you see this other, the iconic idea of the conflict of the archetypes.
I'm a female impersonator.
Yeah, this was back at a time where people didn't really get it about the ideas of transsexualness.
Ain't that interesting? You know, that's smart, too. I mean, who can imitate a female better than a lady?
Is there something else bothering you, Anthony?
That's not enough? Fucking demented old bat.
I'm a transvestite.
You sure fooled me. I mean, you ain't got no accent at all.
Yeah, some people really don't quite have it together. And we have to take care of everybody because that's the essence of the law.
You was laid out pale as a goat. How you feeling?
Oh, just fine, thanks to your knowing exactly what to do.
Ah, listen, it was a pleasure.
I just wish there was some way I could express my appreciation.
Well, I can't think of nothing except, well, maybe the cab fare plus whatever.
Yes, Archie was a little bit blind to certain things at certain times. And let's look a little bit more how he handles this situation.
Well, okay, I never say no to a lady.
I was telling your wife, Mr. Bunker, I'm no lady.
Ah.
I'd like an answer to the question, Judge. I want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Hey, thank you, miss. Unless you girls like to be called Ms.
Why don't you call me Mr.?
Political correctness, social correctness. Archie Bunker never really had too much of a grip on any correctness. Very good idea how he would tell Edith to stifle the ideas, and how he was just a bigot in so many different ways. And the episode where Sammy Davis Jr. kisses him, that was a really funny episode. And shocking for our time, as many people at the time were bigoted.
I would never have guessed she was a man until she took his hair off. I mean, until he took her hair off. Well, anyway, his hair came off, and there she was, a man.
And Rob Reiner, playing Meathead, Michael here, Michael Stivic, he helped to give us a touch of flavor for the liberal.
I can imagine the look on Archie's face.
It was kind of like the look he had in his face when he first met you.
And they were always at odds, always fighting over different ideas. You see, there's no way for them to communicate. There are different polarities.
Nothing, Arch. I just ran over because I was feeling a little bit faint.
Get him out! You told him, and I told you not to say a one word to nobody.
Well, Mike is...
You see, there's no way to communicate sometimes between different archetypes. People who have different types of belief structures, different type of core beliefs, whether they believe in dealing with authority with respect, or whether they have less respect for authority. You see, certain people, they just cannot communicate.
Man is not a freak. Outside of wearing women's clothes, he could be just like anybody else.
Well, I'd never let my sister marry one, or my brother neither.
Let me ask you one question.
Don't ask me nothing. I don't want to hear no more about it. It's over and done and forgot. Case closed.
And yes, it is frustrating for us to look at this type of lack of communication and to try to understand that really people need to be involved and communicate better.
Court decides that what we did was wrong, then I'll accept whatever punishment they give. But I believe I was right, sir. I believe I did my job, and I will not dishonor myself, my unit, or the Corps so that I can go home in 6 months! Sir.
Commander, I'd like to talk.
Just one question.
Ain't you got no ear holes? I said case closed.
If you had known that that guy was a man, would you have saved his life?
Dumb question, 'cause I didn't know.
Yeah, but if you had known, what would you have done?
I suppose I would have got a fag fireman.
We need law.
Charge of murder.
It's absolutely essential. And
Members
we
find
must
the
respect
accused
the law.
Not guilty.
It's something that everybody must learn to do.
The charge of
But
conspiracy
then
to
over
commit
respect
murder.
for the law. that can create a problem. Because as we deal with the ideas of a social structure where we're going to interact, the law is very needed to be able to put down an idea of what is the rules, and basically to find a way, even though it's frustrating, to work with the complexities of the law. But so many times the law really is dictated by the evil to control things, because we have to recognize money is a power, financial forces. This is something we have to deal with, and yes, there is frustration. Sometimes the law doesn't do what you think it's going to do. And the law is written to protect people. And we have to come to grips with our ideas and recognize that the law is about helping people.
You were supposed to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves. You were supposed to fight for Willie.
And that's what we have to come to grips with as people. We have to respect the law, but we have to also learn to recognize that the law is needed. We need to verify what we say. We need to validate this. We need to come to grips with the law.
You don't need to wear a patch in your arm to have honor. 10 hut! There's an officer on deck.
Learn to think critically. Don't be spoon-fed your opinions by the media or by the party you belong to. Learn to think.
Republicans are fucking idiots, and Democrats are fucking idiots, and conservatives are idiots, and liberals are idiots, and anyone that makes up their mind before they hit an issue is a fucking fool, okay?
We have to learn the ability to think. Think critically and make up our own minds, not be spoon-fed ideas.
I'm a conservative, I'm liberal, I'm conservative. It's bullshit. Be a fucking person. Listen. Let it swirl around your head. Then form your opinion. No normal, decent person is one thing, okay?
Yes, there is the left, there's the right, there's conservative, there's liberal. There's all this, but it's the extremes that are the problem. We need to avoid extremism.
I got some shit I'm conservative about. I got some shit I'm liberal about. Crime, I'm conservative. Prostitution, I'm liberal.
Develop the ability to think critically, evaluate, reason, check, question, learn how to think, and watch our course to learn more. When you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. So we need to be able to learn to develop listening. And the biggest communication problem is we don't listen to understand. We listen to reply. So now as we start to recognize that there are conservatives, there are liberals, respect for the law, respect for authority, and no respect for the law or authority. But these two have to really get together and become to listen to each other to try to work things out on this wonderful planet.